Hello everyone, Canon Low here with Path of Exile, and this time I'm going to be discussing my thoughts and opinions of the new Betrayal League. It's been out for roughly about a week, and they have made some pretty drastic changes to the game, actually. So, the main mechanic of Betrayal League is that you have to deal with something called the Immortal Syndicate, which, to get information on them, you have to assist this master here, the Veiled Master Yoon, or June, something like that. And she will have missions for you, or assist you in finding, whenever you find the Syndicate in an area that you explore.
Keep your eyes sharp.
And there's 3 different ways that you can deal with the Syndicate. One of them is by going into one of their secret laboratories. Another one is a caravan, which you have to kill a certain boss within a certain time limit before the caravan gets to the end. And then the last one, which is my least favorite, is the ambush, where they just pop out of nowhere and start attacking you within the area. So let's go into this laboratory and show an example of how you deal with them. So, in the laboratory, you have to save 5 different, well, not all of them, but you have to work on saving at least 2 of the Syndicate evidence before they destroy it. And then also kill the boss in the bosses in the time limit. And as you can see on the map, the targets are the different evidences. So just try to keep that in mind while you're doing this. And you are also timed on this. If you take too long to actually kill the boss, he will disappear on you.
To see how futile your cause truly is.
In the dirt, worm.
Well, that was something. Getting killed just as soon as I kill him. Yes, I would definitely say this league has been much more difficult on me than some of the other leagues have. And I don't even know what to say about that. Kill him just as soon as he kills me with an AoE spell. And I highly doubt these worms did anything to me, but
The Syndicate is wonderful. It really is. If you weren't trying to kill all of us, I'd suggest you try it. Except I fear there's no more room. I know. I'll take a little leave of absence and you can try it out for yourself. Might be tricky convincing the others, but, well, that won't really be my problem, will it?
So this is kind of the map of the Syndicate here. That you have, these are the different names of the bosses that you can fight. And it also kind of tells you which instance you would fight them. So for an example, Jorgen here, he is in transportation, because he's linked to the Safehouse here. And then, I think Ashling might be in fortification here. And then there is research, and then intervention. So research is the underground lab area, who you fight for that. Fortification is whoever you fight in a fort. Transportation is the caravan, and intervention is the ambush that I was referring to earlier. So every time that you kill one of these bosses, these characters, you can do multiple things. You can interrogate them, which makes it so that as soon as they get out of you can put them in jail, which basically removes them for 3 areas worth of, or at least 3 instances worth of encounters. and then they give you information on where the safe house is. Or you can bargain with them, and sometimes it will give you more intelligence per turn. I mean, more intelligence or some unique thing rather than interrogating them. Like, they also have different ranks, and I think the ranks indicate how many unique items they have a chance of dropping, or whatnot. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, you can either choose to interrogate them, remove them, especially if you hate encountering one of these people, or you can bargain with them. So with this guy, five research intelligence. I'm going to choose to interrogate this guy. Now, once you get to 100% of the information, you can choose to fight look for a safe house and raid it. I have not actually done this, so I'm gonna go do this. Well, it says that there isn't enough room.
Time to see how the paupers live, I suppose.
Cool winds.
There isn't enough room for portals. Nice.
Cool winds. This is no beast den. Through these...
Sometimes once you kill each of these bosses, they can drop items that have a veiled modifier.
Cool winds.
And you take it to her, and then you can unveil it, and then it gives you 3 different options of the different crafting mods that you can unlock.
Keep your eyes sharp.
And I will say that for this league, all of the characters that they have put in for the Immortal Syndicate that you can fight, I really do love the personalities that they put on some of these characters. And they also have some returning characters from either earlier in the game or from the previous Forsaken Masters. The Forsaken Masters, a lot of them turned into bosses for the Syndicate that you can fight. And I think they really nailed their personalities. And another thing that I'll mention is that Haku is probably 10 to 100 times better as a villain as he was a Forsaken Master with his missions. So, as ironic as that sounds, I think that he's a lot better as a boss than he was giving out the missions that he was. So you can fight like Alorian, Varisi, and Haku, Hillock from the beginning of the game, and then a various amount of new cast members that have their own unique voice lines and everything. And I think they really nailed their personalities, and I love that about that. And they even comment as if you for an example bargain with them for a certain amount of turns, and then you choose to interrogate them instead of continuing to bargain with them, they actually call you on it. And sometimes that actually makes me feel guilty about interrogating them rather than continuing to bargain with them. So there is that as well. So out of all of the encounters, so far I have not really minded most, like 3 out of the 4 encounters. Well, I will say that the caravan one, the boss moves with the caravan, and he also continues to kind of teleport to the front of the caravan multiple times. So unless you're like in front of the caravan, he keeps teleporting away from you, and that can be annoying. But out of all of the encounters, the ambush one is my least favorite, and that's mainly because you don't really get a warning, and you are not limited to fighting only one boss. You can fight up to 3 of those different characters in any encounter. So while you're playing through the game, and let's just say you're just going about your business, playing through the different acts of the game. You're not quite to end game. Let's say you're in act 8 through 10 or something, and you're just finishing the game, and all of a sudden you have 3 bosses on you, and it's not just the bosses either. They have never-ending spawning ninjas from the Oriath area style ninjas. So on my character, I rely on energy shield because I'm playing a witch character. That is my main defense rather than armor or evasion. And there's been many times where I felt like I didn't really stand a chance against the ambush because there was multiple bosses plus so many enemies in one area that I would just get insta-killed within like 5 seconds. Of course, now that I'm higher level and I have this unique item here that I bought from another player, it gives me level 30 spell echo support. It isn't so bad. So my main skill, Flame Surge, I attack this fast, and I also have a 5-link for my Fire Trap for trying to utilize Flame Surge's Ignite bonus. So it just felt like I didn't really have much of a chance before I got to the higher levels on that. And then also the enemies, they seem to be a lot more difficult than the normal enemies that you would fight through the axe. It really feels like they're probably 3 times, if not more, harder than the normal enemies, and that kind of annoyed me. It just felt like they had I don't know, like 40 to 60% all elemental resistances, and I'm not exactly sure why they were that much harder for, and I'm not even talking about the bosses, I mean the normal enemies. So I'm not exactly sure why they were made that much harder. So basically, all in all, it was a very interesting mechanic with the syndicate. I have not
Exile.
well, will allow me to go. Okay, let's move her just a little bit forward, and then
Blessings.
now will you let me go there? Okay, fine. Where is this space with... Like, this has happened to me multiple times. I was like, oh, I'll try the safe house, and then it's like, oh, you don't have enough room for the portals. It's like, oh, come on. Okay. Is this enough room for
Cool
you?
winds.
So, like I said, I haven't done any of these before, so let's jump straight into it, shall we? And the map is all explored already. And it's level 46, well, and I shouldn't have any problems. I should just run straight through this. I'm level 75, so... And they're not really giving me an objective of what I'm supposed to be doing besides fighting these guys. But whatever. Also, it seems like some of the moves that the enemies do, in comparison to the normal enemies, they have a lot larger area of effect. I mean, it could be just, I don't know. And they also finally made the those necromancer dudes actually dangerous. Well, a lot more dangerous than they have been. they now have bigger area of effect attacks. When before all they would do is pretty much just it would pretty much just raise skeletons, and that's it. Well, and curse you with a debuff. So I'm guessing I can't really do anything about the caravans. Didn't look like I could. I'm just supposed to kill all these guys. Kill as many as I can. Probably a good thing that this is a little bit lower level, because if it was 75 I would probably die multiple times. And I'm not entirely sure why it's so low level. Another thing is that your information, your research information, whatever percentage, it also goes down depending on if you don't continuously gain information on them. So, like, for an example, if you had 100% in transportation and you don't kill any transportation dudes for a while and continue.
Let's see how you fare in my arena.
Oh, vegan?
Exile, a surprise upset. Caravan. Good show.
Honestly, I've never actually fought vegan before. I can only interrogate him. Plus mastermind intelligence.
I will be cruel in my methods, because he can take it.
I have never fought vegan before. I'm guessing all of the previous Forsaken Masters are enemies. Well, I mean, besides Zaina and like a select few others, but I think most of them are villains. Horn Scepter. So yeah, I guess that's what raiding a safe house looks like. Ooh. Oh, so this is how people get talismans. I was looking for amulets, and I was like, how have people gotten talismans in this league? Global physical. Well, they're not very good, so I'm not gonna bother with them. But there's potential there. I'm kind of glad that they did bring some of that stuff back. And he didn't drop any unveiled stuff.
Exile?
So I guess if you get 100% and you go to a safe house and raid it, you get information on the mastermind safe house. Well, that's kind of cool. Since that was my first time doing that, I didn't know that there was another thing to it there.
Fate will find you.
So overall, this league, I would say, isn't really new player friendly mostly because of the ambush encounters. I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm an expert in Path of Exile, not in the slightest, but I typically, I do plan out my builds, and I thought, for the most part, my build was pretty solid throughout most of the game, and I was having a lot of trouble with some of the encounters that they were having. So I would definitely say that this league is definitely up there for difficulty. If you like difficulty in Path of Exile, this is definitely the league for you if you wanted an extra harder challenge. But I would say that because I found that the enemies were very difficult, especially in the beginning, that if you have never played Path of Exile before, or you're not fully confident in your in your skill level, that this league might be one that isn't for you. especially if you wouldn't call yourself a super skilled player, that at least try the normal Betrayal League and not hardcore, obviously. So I will say that this league was definitely a refreshing change. It had a very unique aspect of it that I definitely thought was better than some of the... I liked it better than some of the other leagues. Like, I didn't really care for Incursion League, and I didn't really... and Delve League didn't really strike me very well, mostly because of the constant upgrading you needed to do in Delve League. So I definitely think that this one is a lot more interesting than those other ones. But yeah, I would definitely say that this league is more... is definitely suited for more skilled players that want an extra hard challenge. Because you can fight the Immortal Syndicate even in maps. So if you're doing a like rare corrupted map, for an example, that has like 8 different debuffs to you or buffs to the monsters, you can still have ambushes of up to 3 different bosses with those modifiers on them. So definitely it is a lot harder. Some other things that I would like to mention that they did change was how they did the hideouts. They now have it so that you only need 1 hideout for your whole entire account. You don't need to level up masters anymore in order to get crafting mods. You get them from examining things throughout the game and everything. So that was kind of a nice change as well. And you start out with a big hideout from the start, so you don't need to worry about how many masters you can fit in your hideout and everything, and you don't need to constantly change it to your liking every single league. Some other things is that they brought back Einhar from Beastry League, which I personally skipped. I didn't really find it to be... The concept didn't really strike me very, very much. And they also brought back Nico from Delve League, and I definitely will say that Beastry League and Delve League and Incursion League, because you can still do you can do incursions again, is more... I like it better as some like side thing that you can do on occasion. I didn't really care for it being like an entire focus of a league, so I did like those changes. Also, you unlock delving at like level 35 instead of level 1. So that was a different change as well. So I think all in all, the changes that they made to Path of Exile were well done, and they also switched around the maps again, so different ones. They switched around the tiers of the various maps again, which isn't... well, they seem to do that quite often, honestly, so that isn't that surprising. So yeah, I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover. They also did some modifications to a few skills to make them different. Ice Spear, Arctic Breath are just 2 named offhand. They also added some other skills. Like, if you want to know all the patch notes, just look on the forums of Path of Exile. So I think that pretty much covers everything I wanted to say. I definitely will say that this league, it is very interesting, and I think it's more suited to the veteran players that want an extra challenge rather than new players. So with that, thank you very much for watching, and have a wonderful day.